You're about to hear the show presented by Express Suns Rooms of Columbia. Spurs up.
It's time for Inside the Gamecocks, the show with Phil Mullinax and J.C. Sherbert.
So, how many of you would say you speak English fairly well, but with some difficulty?
Fat, drunk, and stupid is no way to go through life, son.
You play to win the game.
Now, let's take it away, J.C. and Phil.
Hey everyone, welcome to Inside the Gamecocks, the show. I'm J.C. Sherbert. He's Phil Mullinax. I've got a new jacket on. Look at my jacket.
Oh, you did? It did get a North Face jacket.
I got a North. I figured I'd wear it. It's cold. It's a little cold here.
Yeah.
Today, cold and miserable and rainy. It's just a miserable experience. But anyway, good to be with you guys today. Got a nice show. Show's going to be guest free today, so it's just going to be interaction with the Nana Sports chat box, iHelp Consulting Mailbag, people on Twitter.
Till noon.
Oh, I forgot. Shoot, I forgot. Yeah, your request. You guys requested it yesterday to get Hale McGranahan on at noon to preview the recruiting weekend, and so hail yes to all of that. On a Friday. That's going to be a lot of fun. Not much news yesterday. Trey John Jeffcoat still kind of a thing, I guess. Last I heard, they were really trying to get him. I saw a question about Dylan Johnson in the Nana Sports chat box. Again, trying. Cam Pringle. Unnecessary angst and consternation out there on Gamecock Twitter and message boards about him. In my opinion, unnecessary. Like I said, I've told the story many times. I've learned never go full 100% in recruiting until it's done. But I feel pretty good about the Gamecocks' chances, as do I feel about this 2024 class right now. I think the key is going to be, Phil, and we'll talk to Hale about this later a little bit, is you start, building them up, right? Mm-hmm. But then the class up, right? And then you got to hold on to them.
Yeah.
And that's the thing, especially when you got some out-of-state guys and all that good stuff. And make no mistake about it, Cam Pringle commits to South Carolina. But Georgia's not going to quit recruiting him. Neither are the other schools that are in it. But the Gamecocks feel pretty good about that. And the guys that are silent commits right now, I can assure you the rest of the SEC, maybe not Georgia, are going to not give up. Don't give up, because you have friends. Man, that's the saddest. That's one of the saddest. Peter Gabriel has a lot of sad songs. Don't Give Up is a very sad song.
Yes,
you ever
no
listen to it? It's about a man that loses his job and his family's rallying around him. And if you really dig into the lyrics of that song, it's heartbreaking. And the female vote, don't give up. You still have us.
Yes.
We're proud of who you are. I'm like, man, it's going to make me choke up right here on a Friday, Phil. That's not good at all. So those are kind of the big news items kicking around. Frankly, after talking to Jamie Bradford this week and talking a little to John Whittle and sort of going through the Carolina Rise NIL deals with baseball, because we just announced another with Evan Stone. And don't worry, you guys that have given that said just give this to football, the money. Baseball is a very low dollar NIL situation. Baseball, these kids are on 11. They have 11.7 scholarships they have to divvy up. Most of these kids want like book money, beer money, rent money, whatever. So it's nothing compared to football and basketball. So don't be like, don't be going spending my money on that. No, I'm a good steward of your money, and trust me, I know what to do. But so you can take care of a lot of baseball players for a little amount of money. And so I'm getting a little fired up about baseball. I don't know why. Maybe I'm not thinking about it the right way. But Carolina Rise alone. Braylon Wimmer's going to be the starting shortstop, potential 3-hole. Noah Hall, Saturday starter. Ricky Williams is 192nd ranked Major League draft prospect. Evan Stone's going to start in center field. Could be the leadoff guy. Roman Kimball came in from Notre Dame. He's got an NIL deal with us. Suffered an injury. And Roman Kimball's an artist too, guys. He a really good pitcher, but he's back next year. He's pushing for a weekend rotation spot before he got hurt. Dylan Brewer, starting right fielder, could be the leadoff guy. Jack Mahoney, who's from Illinois, Chicagoland. I call him the beef sandwich fireballer. beef sandwich, If I'm thinking that this is because, baseball, I'm just a fan. I don't keep up with it. But I'm thinking one day Mahoney got in a game a couple years ago, and first couple pitches right down the middle. It was like Wild Thing from Major League, Charlie Sheen. Because the third pitch on 0-2 was high and inside, and I literally thought he's going to kill the guy. I was like, I'm so glad that dude ducked. Because, it went. I think it went to the backstop and went boom. but Mahoney's going to be the Sunday starter or closer. 185th draft prospect. Matthew Becker's a top sophomore arm. Kate Austin, who also has his own gear. I kind of like the Kate Austin gear, quite frankly. I think I may get some baseball player gear. Freshman All-American, 4th in the SEC and ERA, and could be the closer. So that's 9 guys or so. That you guys that are members of Carolina Rise have helped. And like I said, those of you that are out there, don't spend my money on baseball because people are mad at Kingston or whatever. Don't worry about it. I mean, trust me, we got this. And there's not, this is sort of standard. And I hope and pray that we grow Carolina Rise even more to where we can do even more with baseball, because that's kind of low-hanging fruit when you're talking about NIL and recruiting. And you can go be the New York Yankees for an Oakland A's budget. How about that? and play a little money ball there. So I'm sort of fired up about that. Some baseball coming up. Of course, none of the matchups except Clemson are very compelling until they get to SEC play.
Right.
And I think that's by design. UMass Lowell, Presbyterian, at Bethune Cookman's, Queens College is rotating on the schedule. They're like, nah, we're not going to play NC State this year.
Yeah,
We're
screw
playing
that
Queens
Texas
College.
series. Yeah.
Yeah, out with Texas, in with Queens, right? Queens College. Also, I think Queens College is in Charlotte. I don't think that's from like actual Queens, like Coming to America Queens. Hello, good morning, my neighbors. All right, Nana Sports chat box is bumping as always. Krager says, anxious to hear the big news coming on the show. We have news about the show today, but it's not the big news. Some of you ask about gear, Big Spur t-shirts, Big Spur stickers, whatnot. I have the Carolina Rise gear, and we moved the Carolina Rise site to where it's all one. It was the Carolina Rise members site, so we put skin on it, I guess, and did it that way. I'm an idiot when it comes to stuff like that, and a guy helped me out and made the Carolina Rise operation a little more. But I still had that GoDaddy store site, right? So I changed it into inside the Gamecocks, the store. And what we're going to have there, we're going to have highlights from the show. We're going to have gear, and then we're going to have over and above promotion of our great sponsors like Express Sunroofs, McKellar Enterprises, iHelp Consulting, Heritage Digital, Nana's Porch, Cindy Searfoss, anybody else that comes in the future. That's not the big news, though. There is bigger news to come, and I'm not referencing Barber, and I think you guys are going to like it. I have my fingers crossed you guys are going to like it. Maybe
Something
love it.
tells
I don't
me.
know.
Yeah.
Something tells me that, especially you chat boxers, are really going to love it. KFC says, "Are we getting the running back from Mississippi State?" I don't know, and like I said, that's come down to more of a not an NIL deal so much. And I talked about this yesterday as I don't know, and Krager mentions Washington said, and he told Phil Kornblut he has to come through with his parents to get him. I kind of know what that is, and I'll just say this: it's a long way from Greenville, Mississippi to Seattle, and all of the Pac-12 road trips you have to take. So that's probably what that's about. So it's not about necessarily NIL, but it is about kind of other NIL perks, I guess, or something like that. I guess it was doing that. John Wick says the Nana Sports chat box is busting. Clint says the big news for me is Metallica released another single from their upcoming album. I got to call Jamie. I hadn't heard from my friend Jamie all week. He's a huge Metallica fan. Yeah. Metallica in Reedville, South Carolina. He's like, Reedville, Metallica. But I bet that single came out and he's just been going.
Repeat.
Tony says, good morning, JC and Phil. Go Gamecock Nation. Amen. Krager says, I requested that hail for my last post yesterday. Thanks. No problem, Krager. We obviously take special care of the Krager here.
That's right.
Twisted Rooster says, JC's wearing North Face and I'm down here in Southwest Florida searching for a tank top today. I hate you.
I'm sitting here. I'm getting a little warm up here in the bonus room this morning. Is it January?
Saunders says, good morning. Wick comes back. Fun fact, there's a company that briefly made the South Butt jackets. Cool story, bro. When does the news about the show drop? I don't know. I have to discuss it with my partner and other people. So Joe B says, JC and Phil, big fan of the show, would like to know if my sources are reliable. Have one of you ever locked yourself on your balcony? Thanks, guys. I don't know who you are, Joe. The answer is yes. The answer is absolutely
I'd appreciate
yes.
it if you stayed out of my personal affairs.
Yeah, I would appreciate it if it was my personal affairs. All right, so let's hit an early break here because we got to get ready for Hale at the top. More Nana Sports chat box coming up on the other side. Don't forget, the show is sponsored by Express Sunrooms of Columbia, and Phil will tell you who's sponsoring the first hour right after these messages.
Golfers and wannabe golfers, former Gamecock golfer Meredith Taylor is now a full-time golf instructor in the Midlands of South Carolina. In-person golf lessons are held at the Country Club of Lexington. Half-hour, hour, on course 9 or 18 holes. And if you're outside of South Carolina, Meredith conducts virtual lessons. Just send in your golf swing for analysis. Gift cards are available for in-person 1-hour lessons. Connect on Twitter at Mayor Taylor and find her online at McKellarEnterprises.org. Her email is on the website. Schedule your next lesson today with Meredith Taylor, former Gamecock golfer.
Gamecock Nation, do you need a place to stay for the big game? Many hotel booking engines keep all the commissions, but at Fan Plans, you support inside the Gamecocks, still earn your hotel loyalty points, and you receive an email with direct confirmation from the hotel. Whether you are visiting Columbia to cheer on Carolina or hitting the road to follow the team, get in the stands with Fan Plans.
This is Coach O. Now back to the show. Go Tigers. In the song.
Welcome back, everybody, to Inside the Gamecocks, the show. The show is brought to you by Express Sunrooms in Columbia. Give John Barber and his team a call down in Columbia, 803-446-4662, to set up a no-obligation consultation about an outdoor retreat, potentially, for your backyard. And the first hour of the show is brought to you, as always, by Cindy Searfoss and the Coldwell Banker Kane Realty team here in the Upstate. Give Cindy a call, 864-414-5271, for your Upstate residential real estate needs. I was just looking at this Kate Austin gear, man. He's got a nice little slick logo. I like these little simple, initial logos that people are doing. It's kind of like the new age monogram, right?
It's like the mark of it's your mark, I guess.
Yeah.
So to speak. So Joey, I don't know who you are, but I have locked myself on my balcony. So hopefully, I believe that was in Greenville, South Carolina. So, same balcony, which I love to hang out on. One night I accidentally, it was real cold actually. It was snowing. There was snow out there. I actually left Red outside on the balcony. All of a sudden I heard, woof! I'm like, dude, I'm glad I didn't go to bed. He'd have been a redsicle. He's got a coat. Saunders says, Jeff Fowler, my man. That's right, Jeff Fowler. Happy Friday to the Clown Posse. John from the Pacific Northwest says. Jeff Fowler says, Miami DB flipped. Yeah, to Colorado. How about that?
Yeah, imagine that.
So... John says, sing it, JC. All right, so Bruin Nation, and I'll talk about this a little bit. What I'm going to do with Good Jeff Coat, again, I'm not going to get into the details, but I'm going to kind of refute, I guess, any kind of misinfo. But don't play the guessing game though, because I'll just cut it. I mean, don't sit there and go, is it this? No, and then cross things off on paper. And I know everybody's looking for somebody individually to blame. So I think that's not wise right now if you want the kid to end up at USC. I'm not preaching to you. I'm just saying, it doesn't help. So Bruin says, is it true our president's the holdup on Jeff Coat? If true, what a joke. No. Aramedes. Now look, I'll say this: the buck stops with him. He's the president, right? He answers to the board of trustees, but I can't imagine any of those guys are, saying no, and all that. So Trevor says, do y'all happen to know how to buy tickets to the Carolina Clemson game at Fluor Field? Phil, I think you can go on the what's the Greenville Drive, or are they still the Drive?
Yeah.
Their website. Look that up, Phil, and be sure. Even if you can't, you can get it on Vivid Seats or Ticketmaster or something like that. Jeff Fowler says he's mad at Mark Kingston. Yeah, I know, my bad. John says, I still think Mahoney will be a star at closer. I think so too. They got a lot of options at closer this year. There's not like a guy you look to and go, he's the closer. But we'll get into that with Bradford and Whittle and all those guys coming up. I'll just say I'm actually a little fired, and maybe it's because men's basketball is just frustratingly in the tank right now. But I'll say I'm kind of looking forward to it, and it's going to kind of be relaxing because of the schedule so terrible. They're probably going to get off to a big start, right? And that's how Tanner used to do it. You get off to a big start like that, and then you could get to 500 in the league. You're probably hosting a regional. Clint mentions North Carolina A&T, the baseball powerhouse. Nathan says Blue Hose could possibly take them down now. That's true. I think they did last year. Connor says Queens is in Charlotte, really upscale part of town. John says he didn't know UMass Lowell existed. Lowell, Mass is Jack Kerouac. They have a Jack Kerouac festival. He's a writer, for those who don't know, every year for that. Cynical says, what's the website for Inside the Show gear? www.insidethegamecocks.com. And Phil got that for you.
Yeah, we'll put that
Meredith's
up there.
right there.
Whoop, wrong one.
Connor says UNC, USC tickets are available for request. Early deadline's March 17th. Yeah, we're about to. I've already got my hooks in the water for that game. But I had a buddy of mine. He's real. He's what we call bougie. He's going, and he's like, I don't even know if I'd like to go to a game if I don't get to sit in a luxury box. So I'm like, I could maybe arrange that. So I'll give him the luxury box tickets, and I'll go sit out with the common folk, right? But anyway, last time I went to the game in Charlotte, we sat in the upper deck for NC State. Had a blast. There was nobody there, in the upper deck. It was spread out, good
Right,
game.
yeah, all the room you want up there, yeah.
Yeah, Berg Bob says, you demand, JC. Woo! That's right. For those that don't know that were asking about the Ric Flair guy on TBS, that's Berg Bob. Berg Gob, not Berg Bob, I think. So there we go. Big Y says, of course he was going to flip. He was on Wallow and Gilly's podcast. Joey G says, I'm back. Been on night shift like a clown. Maybe I'll sell some T-shirts, shut the refrigerator, clown.
Shut the refrigerator. Clown posse.
Yeah. Garrett says, what is the timeline on the transfer portal window? Is there a chance we get a few more commits before the window closes? Or is it basically who we have? No, you can still get more commits. They probably couldn't enroll until March at the earliest. But it can still happen. Big Wash says it's a recruiting tool for Colorado. Quantrell talks about Vakari Swain. Those of you that follow us on Instagram at Inside the Gamecocks, I put up a video breakdown of Vakari Swain today. That guy's ascending the rankings. I think On3 moved him up like 51 to 50 something in the country. It's going to help his composite. Quantrell says, I heard Vakari Swain jumped 11.6 on broad jump. For perspective, it was better than Julio Jones, who jumped 11.3. Are we sure he isn't a wide receiver or even Juice's complement next season? Man, it's tempting. I mean, but I'll say this too. If he's a lockdown corner, that could also be valuable. I don't know. High school film-wise, I kind of agree with Keith and a lot of the other folks that when they look at the high school film, the receiver film's arguably more impressive, but they'll figure it out. I mean, I'm not, I do know this. I do know they like their young receivers and they like their young DBs, but there are more of the young DBs than there are receivers. So if that, who knows? Clint has some Floor Field info. The company I work for has a suite at Floor Field. I'm hoping to get some tickets for that game. Those are nice suites. Very nice suites. Daddy O has a great question. Is the NCAA the governing body for Power 5 college football in 5 years? I hope not. But I'll tell you this, the conferences, they don't want that. They would rather, because look, these conferences don't get along, right? There's all these little rivalries. I mean, even the bosom butt buddies who, can you say butt buddies these days? I'm not going to get canceled for that.
Sure, why not?
Yeah, butt buddies are fine. It doesn't mean anything. The Pac-10 and Pac-12 and Big Ten, they're like, thick as thieves, so to speak. Even they screw, hold on, I'm getting in trouble now. Even they even the Big Ten put the dagger in them, right? So these conferences aren't, I mean, if you do it by, how are they going to determine who the decider is, right? and you're talking about rules and everything else, there's paranoia. Like everybody in the Big Ten thinks the SEC's been cheating for years. But then everybody in the SEC knows the Big Ten's just sanctimonious, and they're probably pulling the same thing in most spots. So we'll, do that. Chris says, good morning, clowns. Good morning, C-Pain. There's a craft brewery in Charlotte named Ass Clown. I'm not a big craft beer guy because even though I am a hot mess neckbeard tough guy, right? Oh, neckbeard tough guy. Touchdown. He doesn't have a beard on his neck, Todd.
It doesn't appear to go all the way down his neck, Todd.
Todd, I think that maybe he does need to give the razor a little bit after him, but well, anyway, I'll take it first down. Get Bravo for the large Carolina Rise hoodie. Thanks, Bravo. And thank you for joining Carolina Rise, because now I've put your real name with who you are on the message board. Folks don't realize I don't have, like, if you're like somebody, like if you're so-and-so, on the message board, the Carolina Rise database, I mean, it's a completely different company, completely different database and everything like that. I don't know who you are, which kind of makes me think sometimes, because I'm still kind of chippy on the message board sometimes, and I'm like, I kind of wonder, I'm like, am I being a jerk to somebody that's giving Carolina Rise $1,000 a month? I mean, that's this guy probably like just feels like, oh man. So that's bad. Clint says, I think Swain would excel at either spot, but I really like him at receiver. That's kind of where I'm leaning. Grotty says, good morning, y'all. Happy Fish Fry Friday. Woo! The VFW here in Lockport, Illinois has Fish Fry Friday every Friday, and Nat keeps wanting to get me by there. I'll say this. What's funny, we were, we put off our wedding until like not this summer, but the next. We had too much to do. Started two businesses, because the show is essentially a separate business, even though it's affiliated with the Big Spur Pod or the BigSpur.com. It's more of a loose affiliation. And then, of course, Carolina Rise. Started two businesses this year. Had this big Disney trip that I've now had to reschedule. Had lots of vacations. And then we started late on it because we didn't get engaged until June. And then this lady was really rude. We had a place in Illinois picked out. Nice, triple deck, old building with, restaurant kind of deal. And she had like she didn't want my money. $20,000. You don't want my money? You don't want my money? Well, we don't have the game. And like she didn't even want to show me the upstairs. I'm like, look, it ain't that. It's not a Taj Mahal, lady. This is the second marriage. Show me the upstairs. And Nat was like, show me the upstairs, clown. So I told her to get effed, and Nat kind of, and then Nat came to the realization getting married in South Carolina, especially on the coast or or a number of places, would be much more beautiful than up here. And we kind of did some math. Most of our friends, if you put it on either side, most of there's larger numbers in South Carolina. So we're going to switch to South Carolina and do it next summer. But in the interim, I did check into the VFW in Lockport. They got a big tank out there, right? Nice. Like a tank and like all this other. You get your wedding picture taken with the tank. They had like their menu. I mean, it was like $8 or what was it? It was like 20 a head, open bar with house liquor, all you can drink, Miller Lite. And I think there was an Amstel or something in there, like some sort of wasn't craft beer, was sort of nice. No old style, but and they're like napkins and stuff like that. It'll be like $30 or $28 a head, and I was like, this is perfect, Then that was a hard no. I'm not getting married at the VFW. It's like it'd be cool, and the menu was like beef sandwich, Italian beef. pork chop, Polish sausage,
Polish
fried
sausage.
chicken, fried chicken.
Hey, I've been to a wedding at a VFW. They're right fun affairs.
I mean, I thought it'd be rocking. I mean, Phil, you know who I'm friends with.
Right. I mean, we would all
all
just
my friends. That would be amazing. It'd
be perfect for all of us.
people, these Illinois folks be driving by like, there's a bunch of rednecks in town at the VFW. Why is that country music blaring? So this guy, like, somebody's passed out and like saying like, hold my Philly cheesesteak when it's really an Italian beef. Hold my Philly cheesesteak. Discourse, Metallica. Anyway, Daddy O says, didn't hear any Big Ten bias yells before the playoff game like they do the SEC. That ended well, didn't it? Yeah, kind of bad for them. Ohio State had the talent to hang. I don't know that Michigan did. Jeff Fowler says, screw the Big Ten. I agree. Garrett says, regarding Bakari Swain, you have to ask, would you rather have a lockdown corner or an average wide receiver, two, or vice versa, depending on what he excels at? Yeah, find where he's best and go. Where is he going to get his hot reaches ceiling, which is high, I think, on both spots. But and a lot of it has to do with team need too. But what you don't want to do, like with Jam Williams, he had to play corner during the other era, and then safety for a while, which didn't work out. He's just too small. But they needed guys. They needed Jam. Jam was a freshman all SEC back there. But really his highest upside was with the ball in his hands, which is why I never understood why he never returned punts. But that's and Debo did not return punts. For those of you that are like, Debo returned kicks. Brian Edwards returned punts. Well, he wasn't bad. I don't know. We can reminisce about the Muschamp era later. Daddy-O says it's Fish Fry Freaky Friday. Krager says, can I crash your wedding? Absolutely, Krager.
Wedding crasher. That'd be great.
Saunders says, if you plan on doing Charleston for your wedding, be prepared to sign away your arm, leg, and firstborn child just to get the venue. I don't know. We're kind of thinking Paulie's, maybe Edisto. I don't know. Saunders says, jokes aside, there's some really nice places and affordable in Charleston. People just get distracted by places like Loudon's Garden and Magnolia Plantation. Yeah, dude, this is our second. Like I said, man, I even came up with another idea up here that she hated. The Ramada Inn.
Ramada.
It's a Ramada. It's nice. It has a bar with, a nice bar with the velvet cloth top and the Christmas lights around. Old school bar.
Nice.
You got this guy named Al that comes in every day about 3:00, gets off to work, having a few pops before. He goes home to see the wife. I had a job suck today. Give me a beef and an old style. Hey, Al, how are you? And then Al gets pissed off because we're having the wham. Who are these people? There's a bunch of Southerners here. A bunch of, their menu was a little iffy. It was just like chicken and chicken.
Chicken two ways.
Chicken two ways. But it was a good venue. So the Ramada was on the list, and I got shot down. Red Roof Inn is next. Is there a Red Roof Inn wedding venue in Charleston? Because I'm all over.
Because we'll be eating.
Lee says, do you think Lenore's can work himself into the number 2 guy? I'm partial because he's a homeschool kid. Lee is going to be tough because, Luke Doty's coming back. He's good. Tanner Bailey's good. Braden Davis is good. Colton Gauthier's still there. He's good. I mean, I'm not trying to knock him. But, now, I'll say this. If he may not be number 2 next year, but he can be number 1 in 2 years. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
It wouldn't surprise me to see him win the job, not and it not take too long. I like that kid that much. I've always liked him, but man, I was just like blown away by his senior stuff. So it was an outstanding. Action says, hey, JC, is South Carolina looking at Dominic Blaylock or A.D. Mitchell? No, it's unlikely, but just asking. I didn't know Blaylock was in the portal. He's probably a guy that's worth a look. I know Carolina liked him out of high school. I love A.D. Mitchell. probably going somewhere else. Probably somewhere, Blue Blood or whatever. But either one of those two, I think South Carolina would definitely take them. Cartwright says, let's not reminisce about Muschamp. Can we just treat it like The Godfather 3? Just when I think I'm out, they pull me back in.
Again.
That was, by the way, Francis Ford Coppola's terrible daughter. Now, don't get me wrong. She's nice looking, right? Easy on the eyes, or was then.
Who was it? Sophia
Coppola. Here's another Bill Murray movie with deadpan dialogue I don't like, Lost in Translation. And I love Bill Murray. I don't know why that is. But I thought that movie sucked. I thought most of her screenplays sucked. And her acting in that movie was bad enough. You had Coppola's sister, Talia Shire, in there, who, by the way, only Adrian Balboa is probably like the only thing she should ever play. She was not that good. I guess she was okay as Connie in The Godfather, but those are her only two roles. And so you got her overacting in that one. And then you got, little Coppola as the daughter, and she gets killed. And it's just like the most dramatic, like if you were in acting class, here I'm going to pretend to shoot you. Okay, you die, death. Just so, and she loved her cousin. That was weird. So, yeah, man. Yeah, Godfather 3. Yeah, the Muschamp era. So who is Sophia Coppola? Is it T-Rob?
T-Rob, yes.
Bobby Bentley is Andy Garcia. Muschamp. All right. Cartwright says all the other Jaws movies. You didn't like Jaws 3D? Anyway. Connor says hotel weddings are underrated. No one has to drive, and it's a nice home base, especially if people traveling long distances. Yeah, I think that's cool. Because that's one of the things I was worried about. Daddy-O says don't tell people about Edisto. That was one of the concerns about Edisto. It was like, because we were kind of looking at renting a house and having it at the house, but not everybody could stay there. Hotels are either like you rent the $400 a night condo or you go way 20 miles away.
Yeah. So
that's the deal there. Payne knows a guy who caters. Oh, you do? You think? Yeah, and it was a shame because Payne and I, when we switched gears to South Carolina, we'd already started talking menu. How about a little chicken bug, a little shrimp and grits, some barbecue, I think. Garrett says, how many quarterbacks do you think we see in the spring game? As many as 4 or 5? Yeah. I think they'll let a lot of those guys play. Krieger says, I heard A.D. Mitchell was a huge prima donna. Doesn't seem like a fit. He plays kind of... Excuse me. Jesus. A.D. Mitchell's like, the Lord loves A.D. Mitchell and just was like, no, don't say it.
Yeah, that's right. No.
But no, A.D. And he was hurt. And I thought, when you watch some of the plays this guy made for Georgia, you're like, he's a weapon. But they don't, they kind of didn't always go to him, so maybe that's the guy there. Rakeem says, heard Jeff goes in the student system. Maybe he enrolls in the summer. Yeah, he made the student directory before whatever happened.
Jeez.
Clint says Sophia is an awful actress. I agree. John goes, Nick Cage, best Coppola family actor. Yeah. All right, so I'm going to tell you the story. Some of you guys know Ryan Bartow, who's the player personnel guy at Florida State now. He used to be in our business. Have many of good times and drank many of cold beer with Bartow. All right, so we decided summer of 2014 to go see Guns N' Roses in Vegas. Now, this was before Slash got back in the band. It was just Axl and DJ Ashba and all these guys. But it was great because we got a buddy of mine hooked us up with like seats down or standing down at the stage. And so this is my Nick Cage story. So little did we know, Bartow's favorite comedian is Andrew Dice Clay. And I'm a fan of his old stuff too. So all of a sudden lights go down. The opening act is Andrew Dice Clay. He comes out there, like, hickory dickory dock. Oh! And I'm like, it just can't get any better than this. I'm 3 sheets to the wind. Guns N' Roses is about to play. I could care less if Slash is in the band. I just want to hear the songs. And then the lights go down. It's like, you can't get any better than this. And all of a sudden, a shadowy figure wearing a bathrobe and carrying a bottle of champagne with sunglasses on rambles out to the mic. And you hear me on the video going, "It's Nick Cage, dude. Oh, my God. It's Nick Cage. It's Nick Cage." And it was Nick Cage. It's like
in a bathrobe,
in a bathrobe,
bottle of champagne.
It's Nicolas Cage. I was like, holy crap! He of Moonstruck fame. He of Raising Arizona fame.
Yes.
I was like, oh my God! And then they kicked into It's So Easy, and it was a hell of a show. I mean, really, DJ Ashba played guitar a lot like Slash. But anyway, I don't want to get too far off track. But that's my Nick Cage story. JB says, guess that's why she directs now. Not well. Talia Shire's not a good actor. Agreed. Sophia was the baby in the Godfather scene at the end. Now that was her best role. When Michael settled all family business. Dude, I'll say something I'm not proud of. One night. Yeah, sometimes you have conflicts with people. And yeah, I'm the type, I don't like it, so I like to settle things. Well, one night, not too distant past, I had a few drinks, and I was like, I just went off. Like one of my friends owes me money. She's, bless her heart, I'm not really that mad at her, but I just went off. Another friend owes me money. Another friend owes me some paperwork. Business stuff, that I'm like, I'm very kind and nice about, but eventually I just blow my lid. I walk in the bedroom, like, she's like, "What have you been doing?" And I turned on that scene from The Godfather where they're having the baby christening with the, do you believe in God and Jesus? And I'm like, tonight I settle all family business. I'm not proud of that, but it's funny. It's hilarious.
It's great.
Because they're talking in Latin and all that. That's a very good scene. But yeah, that's her best acting role ever as the baby in the first Godfather. Cartwright says B-Mac for sure. And B-Mac is who? Joe Piscopo or Joe
Piscopo?
Not Joe Piscopo. He's not in that. That'd be awful if Joe Piscopo was.
Oh, that's funny.
Jared says, if we can get past at least one of Tennessee or Georgia at the beginning of the season, what are the chances we have maybe a 1 or 2 loss year? I think this largely depends on personnel and health and injuries. Because look, you got to go to Kyle Field next year. You don't know what that bunch is going to do. I think they're in good shape, a D coordinator, and I think Bobby Petrino's a good play caller. The issue is he and Jimbo are so similar with their styles of offense that Jimbo's going to be able to jump right back in, and you don't know if he'll medal. I don't know how that'll work, and you still don't know if they care about winning, but it's still out there. Neyland is Neyland, Georgia's Georgia, and you got to go to Missouri, which has not been kind. Plus, there's the home games. Florida. Who knows how you match up with Florida or whoever next year? So, but yes, I think you got to plug the holes at edge, find the edge, hope you're fresh, do whatever. You gotta hope somebody emerges at running back, and I understand that's a concern right now. But I keep going back to like being scared to death about running back going into 2020. Hell, that was the best position on the offense, right? Because Kevin Harris led the SEC in rushing, but also Deshaun Fenwick came out of nowhere and did well, and that was after Lloyd got hurt. So at running back, guys step up at different times. Plus, there's all that. So, but yeah, those 2 games are going to be big. I don't really know what I need to look at Georgia's returning personnel. I know Tennessee's going to have a lot of turnover, but still that style of offense going up there, it's brutal. But I'll remind everybody, ever since 2010, which is over a decade ago, that series has been 3-3, 3-3, 3-3. So it's time for the Gamecocks to win their second in a row in that one. Charles asks, is Pringle a lock? There are no locks. Don't make me say that.
No.
Don't make me say that. But I feel very, very good about the Gamecocks' chances. Clint says Nick Cage is an awful actor. I like some of his movies, but he's terrible. kind of just one of those guys kind of plays the same guy, I guess, over and over. I don't know. I enjoy
I'm not
his
the
movies.
biggest Nick Cage fan. I mean, I love Raising Arizona, obviously. That's a great movie, but,
Well, I think the type of guys he plays, there's only so many of those characters. And then you have to kind of, I guess.
What is it? Honeymoon in Vegas? That one with.
That was good.
James Caan and. Yeah, that was a really good one. He did well. He was adequate in that.
Didn't he have one called. What was it recently? Like his pet beaver or something got kidnapped. The beaver. Is it? He was like a chef, and his beaver got kidnapped. What is it? It was like recent. I didn't watch. I saw the previews. The beaver. I don't know. What is it?
I don't know. I was almost scared to type in Nick Cage and Bieber into Google.
Pig. It's pig. It's his pet pig.
Mm.
His pet pig gets kidnapped, and he goes after it. But I don't know. I need to watch that one day, but I'm not.
It's called Bacon.
Bacon's
like Taken.
The woke. The woke didn't like that movie either. They're like, incel. He's an incel. I'm like, he's a chef that's heartbroken, has a pet pig, and he loses it and goes and wants to find his pig. At least that's what I think. I haven't watched the movie. It's called Pig. He's an incel. He's dangerous. No, he's not. He's a chef. Speaking of Talia, where's the SEC shorts? Talia, Hammer. I don't know the names of those cast members, so I can't comment right now. Clint goes, JC, do you renounce Satan? I renounce him. I settled all family business today.
Settled all family business.
Pig. It's his truffle hunting pig, John says. Yeah, so Macadino podcast in the house. Good morning, Gamecock family. Good morning, my friend. 8mm is way too sketchy for Daddy-O. You just have to find the right Nick Cage movie, The Unbearable Weight of Massive Talent, where he plays himself in a good movie. Also, it was a pig, JC. Pig. Everybody's like pig. According to 24/7, Blake Frank's projected to Clemson. Yeah, the crystal ball's been on Clemson for a while. Gamecocks have made a run of it. And look, I think Clemson's not, they're doing everything they can not to lose the guy, right? Because they're not getting Pringle. They're not getting Josiah Thompson. They'll go get somebody. I mean, they always do. But Blake Franks is one they don't want to lose. Action says, JC, did you see that Dylan Stewart got moved up to high 5-star on 3? Where are we with him? I believe he was either in town last weekend or coming in this weekend, and the Gamecocks top 2. That's a big defensive end from the DMV. And look, man, this defensive line recruiting, I was thinking about this today. It's been kind of unfortunate since about the 2021 class, right? So 2020, you get Tonka Hemingway, you get Jordan Birch, you get a lot of guys. I think Gilbert Edmond was in that class. You have guys there like Enigbare and Sterling, and it was a nice deal, right? Well, during that transitional year, South Carolina lost Tyrion Ingram Dawkins to Georgia and Justice Boone to Florida during the transition. Well, see, so now you move forward and you're looking at it, and it's like, well, you've also lost now Jordan Birch and Gilbert Edmond. So those are like 4 guys, that in a different time, would have still been at Carolina or at Carolina. So it's a need. Getting Dylan Stewart would be choice. Oh, Jay Sean Barham, who they lost, who flipped back and forth with Maryland on signing day, would have been another guy that would be good. Stacy said his Con Air Southern accent was awful. I agreed.
Yeah.
And I think Carolina's right there with Dylan Stewart, right there. He's coming in tomorrow. Thank you, Clint. I didn't take notes again. Mm-hmm. Action says, Macadino says he named Carolina the favorite a couple months ago. Yeah, you just got to stick with him because in that area, you have to worry about the Big Ten schools. You got to worry about Ohio State. You got to worry about Penn State. You also worry about Alabama going up there, although they go kind of less than they did when Lance Thompson was there. Clemson goes up there. Clemson's got a defensive tackle or maybe an end or tackle one from the DMV. So there you go. But I think South Carolina's in excellent shape. John says Mandy was crazy, if you saw that one. If you want to see Nick Cage wade through an army of Satanists with an axe, it's worth 90 minutes of your time. Mandy. Clint says he got the info from a guy named Hale McGranahan. Hell yeah. You should look into hiring that guy, JC.
Yeah.
One of the best hires I've ever made.
Work. Yeah, I hear he does good work.
One of the best hires I've ever made. Action says, how much do you think Elijah Davis contributes next year? Now, Elijah Davis is interesting because there's a height and weight. I think it's on Carolina's official site. 6'3", 262. So this kid had never been measured coming out of Wagner Sally, and he was listed at 6'4", 260. The junior college listed him at like 6'5", 305, 315. If he's 262 or 265 or 270, he could play end, I think. I think he's good enough. That's what he played in high school. So that would probably push him up into the rotation quite a bit. I think if he's 305, 300-something pounds, he can push for a position in the top two. I think Tonka Hemingway and Boogie Huntley would probably be your number 1 and 2 guys at tackle. And then before Davis, you'd pencil in, T.J. Sanders, and you pencil in Nick Barrett. And then there's a group of them that redshirted this past year, Demetrius Watson, all those guys, DeAndre Martin. So I don't know who would be behind them. And then Davis would fit in somewhere like that. But if he's an end, heck, even better. But I don't know. The weight listing on him is sort of weird. All right. Got to get another break in. We'll take a break. We'll come back. More chat box. And then we have Hale McGranahan coming in to talk about the weather, right? The weather.
Yeah.
We'll be back after this. Hey, man, are you sick and tired of your business computer guy?
Yes, he takes forever to call me back and doesn't always respond to the requests.
Yeah, same here. I'm paying him good money. I constantly have issues, and I'm worried he's not backing up my network and securing it properly.
You know what, Phil? Let's ask Stone Blanton.
Hey, JC and Phil, if you want a solution to your IT problems, give Heritage Digital a call. Our boy Matt Odom has a low-cost, one-price solution that will get you running right. Call 843-699-1001 or heritagedigital.com and ask for Matt. He will hook you up today and tell them Stone sent you.
If you're looking to sell or buy multifamily property right here in South Carolina, the Burgesson team of RE/MAX at the Lake can help you get to closing fast and easy. Adam and Derek Burgesson both are very proud Gamecocks and are more than happy to assist you with any of your commercial real estate needs all across the state. You can email Adam at aburgesson@remax.net. That's ABERGESON at remax.net to get your next deal underway. The Burgesson team, proud sponsors of Inside the Gamecocks.
Family vacations, a new car, a new boat, all cost money, but you don't necessarily have to make more to afford any of that if you can save cash that's flying out the window now. iHelp Consulting can help you finally get the kids to Disney World, upgrade the minivan, or drop that new boat in the water next summer. Let Daniel and iHelp Consulting consult with you. No fees, just savings. You pay them a percentage of those savings. Save on essential services, credit card fees, you name it. Let them find it. These folks are incredible. iHelpConsulting.com. How can I help you?
This is freshman All-American Nikki Memorial of the Carolina Gamecocks, and you're listening to The Show with JC and Phil.
Welcome back to Inside the Gamecocks of the show, everybody. The show is presented to you by Express Sunrooms in Columbia. Give John and his team a call, 803-446-4662, to discuss a potential patio or porch enclosure. Still enough time to get that started and finished before the summertime. First hour of the show, forgot almost. Cindy Searfoss, give Cindy a call. Lots of our listeners have already given Cindy a call and have been impressed with the way she handles her business. For all your residential real estate needs here in the upstate, 864-414-5271.
Welcome back. Inside the Gamecocks show. Nana's Porch chat box rolls on. Want to thank Jakai Moore. He signed an NIL deal with Carolina Rise. He's really good at promoting stuff on his Instagram. Speaking of Express Sunrooms, Jalen Nichols will be promoting them today on Instagram. And then, who do we have? We had for McKellar, for Meredith. It was, I saw it. I had it right here. No, Jalen had Meredith, and Vershawn has Express Sunrooms. So there we go.
Ah.
There we go. So,
quick update. Meredith's got gift certificates for Valentine's Day for your who like to golf. So, yeah.
If your loved one can't golf and
wants to,
then wants to do it. I think I need some stuff like that. But anyway,
my daughter she started talking about golf the other day. JC, it was just like our eldest. She was like, I think what if maybe we could go play some golf? I'm like, you know what? I don't know how, but I know somebody who could teach us how.
So Stella wants to play golf?
Stella, yeah. She was interested. No, it was Allie. It was Allie, which was
Allie, youngest.
I mean, the youngest. Yeah, she's Dennis the Menace, so she wants to do
Dennis
it all.
The Menace.
Yeah, but then my mind went to. I was like, oh yeah, it'd be great. Oh yeah, listen, she rolls around this neighborhood with a crew of kids. They formed a little R gang and. I mean, at any given moment, she's at one of our neighbors' houses, just sitting in the garage while one of them's working on their Jeep or whatever. Can't stop Allie. She's a force. Love it.
Allie de Force. Action says, as we finish up Nana Sports Chat Box, don't forget Hale McGranahan. McGranahan. Owen. Owen. Give my pills, Owen. Action says, I saw someone saying they could move Nick E to linebacker to be a hybrid like Isaiah Simmons. That's wishful thinking. Some folks out there don't want to insult anybody's opinion. I don't think it's a bad opinion about football and Nick, but was told straight up he and DQ aren't moving. Now, if Nick gets to be like naturally 240 pounds, yeah, you got to move him. But I think you can also, if he stays around 225, 230, play him at safety. But then people talked about Isaiah Simmons. Yeah, some packages you can bring him off the edge and do whatever. You can use him a lot, but in different ways. But I was told no circumstances are they planning on moving those guys. And look, the defensive staff, if you notice so far during their short time at Carolina, they're not really big movers. They don't really like to move guys. They really don't. Macadino says, I saw a lot of his film. He does a lot of stand-up rushing. He said, Tonka's got enough quickness and speed to play edge. I'd love to see him setting the edge, depending on how TJ and Barnett develop. Macadino, I was thinking about this today, too. You could look, if they don't get Trajan Jeffcoat, and they don't get it, and Terrell Dawkins, and Jordan Strawn is just kind of so-so and doesn't come back, I think they're going to have to do play with a little bit more odd front to where, maybe you do have a zero. I mean, is TJ Sanders going to be able to play zero? You got Sanders and Nick Barrett, and then you got your bigger ends, which would be Tonka and Boogie. And then on passing downs, the younger guys, Montague Rames and maybe Zulu. And I was told, look out for Montague. I was told that guy's naturally strong, South Carolina kid, whatever. So we'll see what happens. We'll see. That's just me speculating. I don't know if it's going to happen. Connor says he'd like to keep Hemingway inside. He's so much quicker than most of the centers or guards he goes up against. He loses a little of that on the edge. I agree. Saunders says the fur on JC's hood makes his hair look even crazier. It does, doesn't it? It makes it have flowing locks.
I noticed the fur there. Just it wasn't even at the beginning of the show. I was like, oh, look at that fur lined. Fancy.
Furs up. Furs up. KFC play collegiate golf. Cynical got some gear and had to add the login shirt.
Nice.
Money. Marion says, JC, if you know anyone in the military, you can have it on the air base in Beaufort. There's a huge place there on the water. We had our wedding reception there. They'll run you about $300 for 2 days. Whoa.
Hey.
Man. Huh.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so it may be tricky. One of my friend's ex-wife's dads is in the military, Beaufort. I may call in a favor. Stacy says, how about the South Dakota State head coach win a national title and retiring? What a way to end. Go Jackrabbits.
That's right. Go out on top.
Magadino says Taco was ahead of Birch when he played DN in 2020. I agree. Meredith says, I got you, Phil. Got you with the golf.
Right on.
The famous Lance players is what up, Killers?
What up?
Bush Latte. Taco had a rep at the end against Notre Dame, but it was so elite, and he showed so much quickness. Yeah, I mean, look, I'm not opposed to that. There's some school of thought, maybe, like you run a tall sweep, the other guys are trying to get to the edge, he'll be outran. I can buy that. I need to watch it more because I don't know that that's definite with him because he's such a great athlete. I don't know it's definite with Boogie either. He played Boogie in it. Like I said, maybe they got to. Unlike Lorenzo Ward, who allegedly switched to a 3-4 defense with absolutely no safeties, no linebackers, and 260-pound D tackles. Brilliant. Hey, man, I like that 3-4 defense we're running.
Yeah, that's 3-4 working out.
Carolina probably has the personnel to do it. And Clayton White's got some odd front, some things like that he runs. So we'll just have to see. And action, I'll say this right now. He wasn't kicked off the team at Mizzou. He just left the team for a short while. He was going to transfer. But my understanding is it's not an SEC decision. That was like J.C. Jackson had that happen, but it's not the SEC. The hang-up's all on Carolina's end. All right, we are going to take a break after this. Hale McGranahan joins us. Talk a little recruiting. Another recruiting weekend. It rolls on right here on the show.
Just as your State Farm agent combines good neighbor service with surprisingly great rates, you can combine your home, auto, life, or small business insurance with Tony Pope State Farm Insurance today. And guess what you'll get? That's right, even more good neighbor service with surprisingly great rates. In fact, Tony Pope State Farm is your go-to agent anywhere in South Carolina, North Carolina, or Georgia for the service you deserve at the price you want. So try combining your home, life, auto, and or small business insurance today. Tony Pope State Farm has been in business for more than 30 years and can handle anything you need in the tri-state area. Once again, Tony Pope State Farm will help you mix and match perfectly. Call 843-851-2222 or visit TonyPope.com today. Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there.
Whoop, whoop, easy. He's got a tiger by the tail, he has. He better hang on, too.
People have spoken. Nana's Porch was voted the third best food truck or trailer by the Charlotte newspaper Public Poll. Also, their pimento cheese took third in a contest exclusively for products made in the state of North Carolina. I will let Noah Hall tell you about the rest. Nana's Porch, Southern cuisine with an uptown twist. If you're in the upstate of South Carolina and are in need of residential real estate services, Cindy Bass Searfoss of Caldwell Banker Kane is for you. Ask her about the village at Creekside, all of her listings in my hometown of Spartanburg, South Carolina, right there on Daniel Morgan Avenue, married to a lifelong Gamecock fan. And many of our listeners have already bought homes from her and been 100% satisfied with the detail and care she uses. Cindy Searfoss, 864-414-5271, Caldwell Banker Kane in the upstate for your real estate needs.
This is Braylon Wimmer, South Carolina Gamecock Baseball, and you are listening to Inside the Gamecocks, the show with JC and Phil. Go Cox!
Welcome back to Inside the Gamecocks, the show, everybody. Presented to you by Express Sunrooms of Columbia. Give John Barber and his team a call down at, I believe they're based out of Lexington, if I remember correctly, but it's 803-446-4662. to talk about some home improvements to your backyard or patio or porch and mention that you heard it here. It'll be $500 off your next project. And in with us now is Hale McGranahan on the McKellar Enterprises guest line. Hale, we got a big recruiting weekend, Junior Day, coming up for the football team. I was thinking, I think we had a similar setup to this last year, did we not? And wanted to know if we had any comparisons of how many of those players from the 2023 class actually landed here at South Carolina. Kind of, give us a heads up as to what we're looking at coming in tomorrow and potential, percentages of guys we may land out of this one. I know each class is different and circumstances are different, but how successful is something like this, in the grand scheme of things, just to have them back in again and around the other recruits that may already be a bit more solid than some of the other guys?
Yeah, I honestly don't know. I'd have to go back and look at the stuff we were writing last year on the site to see, because I certainly can't remember who all was in, other than I'm pretty sure Grayson Howard was in because he visited just about every time he could. I think maybe Jordan Hall, defensive tackle from Jacksonville. I had a conversation with somebody about him the other day. Well, not really about him, but his name came up and was mentioned in context with last year's Junior Day. But yeah, that is an interesting question. Maybe I have to dig that up while I'm sitting here with you guys. But pretty standard as far as how they're doing it operationally on a Saturday in conjunction with the basketball game, so they can, bring the team out, have Beamer address the crowd, probably introduce the mid-year guys who just enrolled, like Grayson Howard or Lenore Sellers, some of those other new guys, the transfers, show off the Palmetto Bowl trophy and get folks fired up and have a bunch of football recruits sitting in the building watching the basketball game and entertaining them that way. So that will just be one part of the day. Obviously, it won't just be having them over at Colonial Life Arena. They'll do, campus tour and show them around the facility and meet with coaches and maybe take some guys over to the stadium. Of course, do the photo shoot. That's an obligatory thing for visits these days, regardless of when they are. But yeah, it will be a pretty busy day. And again, I think I should start trying to dig up to see who else came in for this event last year around this time, because it's, again, usually a mid to late January type of deal. So see, obviously a big weekend for Carolina recruiting, and of course Camp Pringle decision day on Sunday too. So it's not just going to be Saturday with stuff going on that way.
Talk with Hale McGranahan, thebigspur.com. All right, so Daniel Hill being recruited as a running back. I want to ask you, Wendell Gregory's coming in. We had a question earlier about Dylan Stewart from D.C. Recently moved up 5 stars. Braden Lee, also a player from that area that's really good. I know I kind of feel good where Carolina's at with them, Hale, but kind of what's your take?
Yeah, Daniel Hill, who's been in before. This will be, I think, maybe a second trip to Columbia. He came down for a game. Mentioned Dylan Stewart. JC is probably at the top of the South Carolina's board as far as defensive ends or edge guys. I was listening yesterday, and I know you are kind of laughing about that terminology, edge, and how that's sort of come to be part of the nomenclature. But yeah, those two guys are at or near the top of the board at their respective positions. Braden Lee is another who's from the DC area, like Stewart, who's been down before, and I think probably pretty high on Torian Gray's board as well. So you can look at the whole list, at the list of names that we've got on the side of guys we're expecting to see in Columbia on Saturday, and a lot who are very much that way, at or near the top of the board at their respective positions. Like Josiah Thompson at offensive tackle. It's like him and Cam Pringle are 1 and 1A, and probably depends who you ask and what day you ask them as to who's ahead of the other. But yeah, it's a lot of big time guys coming in.
Yeah, I think that's gosh, you get those two guys, Hale, and then you combine them. And I don't know what's going to happen with Nick Harbor, but boy, if you got Harbor and then you got these two guys, I mean, all of a sudden South Carolina becomes a pain in the butt for the other schools that are recruiting the greater DC area. I think you can get, covering that area for a long time. I think you can get some pretty good players. Alabama's had good players out of there, Ohio State, etc. So, your thoughts on the Gamecocks continuing to kind of mine that area. I think, right now everybody's kind of so edge starved, so to speak. That Stewart's got everybody's attention, but man, that would Braden Lee's a pretty good player too. So, your thoughts about the continued emphasis on that area and the Gamecocks' success?
Yeah, the SEC is not exactly close proximity, regional or geographically. If you look at it on a map, I think South Carolina's the closest school to that area. I guess maybe Georgia's sort of neck and neck that way, but there's sort of that appeal. Playing in the SEC carries a lot of weight for guys in any part of the country. That one especially. There are some guys who want to come down and play in the best conference in college football. And when you look at all the connections that the South Carolina staff has up there, it makes a lot of sense. In addition to that stuff, it makes sense for those guys, whether it's Shane Beamer or Torian Gray or Pete Limbo or Sterling Lucas, who's gotten involved there in the year or so that he's been on staff. So there's just a lot of boxes you can check for South Carolina to where, it does make sense. And we've talked in the past, and I know you guys were talking again yesterday about having to kind of pick and choose where you go. Like, you can only get so many guys out of the state of Georgia because, Georgia is going to command the best of the best, and then Alabama is going to be right there, and everybody else in the country is going to be in that state hitting it up and recruiting. So I think it makes sense for South Carolina to identify areas, whether it's the DMV or either further up into the Northeast, to where they could go pluck some really good players. And like we saw with this 2023 class, they've had some success doing it. So I would imagine that's going to continue moving forward.
Hell, have you seen Denas White, the kid from Concord?
I've watched his highlights, but it's been a while. I can't remember exactly what my thoughts were about him, but I know the staff really likes him. I know he's a guy that they'd be happy to take you. And I don't know that he's going to, but say he wanted to commit to more, I think they would be very excited to add him if that was something that could be in the cards.
I just noticed he's listed 6'6", 310. I mean, you think that, is that, you think that's legit? That's a big guy.
Yeah, I don't know if that's quite where he's at. I'm not 100% sure about that. I would guess it's probably a little bit inflated, because those things typically can be that way, just generally speaking. But yeah, I know they're excited about him, and he's been down a handful of times. He came to, I think, at least 2 or 3 games in the fall, and I think I could be wrong, so don't quote me on it, but I think there's a coach on the staff up there at the high school that he's either from South Carolina, the Columbia area, or maybe went to school or knows, has some sort of connection to the staff here. So I think there's some kind of, other factor other than he just likes Carolina and it's pretty close to home and all that. I think maybe there's a little bit more working in the Gamecocks' favor there with him. But yeah, now that you mentioned him, I do need to go back and rewatch those highlights and form a more updated opinion about him as a player.
Clint from the Nana Sports chat box. Yes, Braden Lee is Desmond Umeozulu's high school teammate. I'm right about that. Charles Herbert Flowers. Also, the Gamecocks have a walk-on tight end coming in from that school. Marcus Brown, right? Isn't that his name?
Maurice.
God, it's been a long. I mean, I've had a bad run with names, man. Bad run. I've been sitting here saying things like, "Oh, the kid from Charleston."
That guy.
Yeah.
Man, let's start calling him. Let's say Dude Bro.
Yeah, Dude Bro. 7 years ago this time of year, I do back-to-back radio all day. Top 100 kids in the country would just roll off my tongue. Not now. No, lost it completely. Getting too old. So you mentioned Cam Pringle. And then I'm going to ask you a Wendell Gregory question, and about Kelvin Hunter, I think. Cam Pringle, there was some angst and consternation about Kirby Smart visiting him yesterday. I have said over and over there are no locks in recruiting. I feel pretty good about the Gamecocks' chances to land him. Now, you're going to have to keep him, and you're going to have to keep a lot of these other guys that are committed too if you get off to a hot start like I think they are. But I feel like the Gamecocks have done a really good job there, and I feel like they're probably the pretty heavy favorite to get him in the fold on Sunday. What say you?
Totally agree. I don't think there's anything to worry about as far as the whole short-term aspect of it all. I do think it's going to be South Carolina for him when he makes his decision on Sunday, and I, like you, JC, I do think they're probably going to have to hold on to him as best they can. I can't imagine that, especially Kirby Smart, and as aggressive as he is on the recruiting trail, I can't imagine he's going to hold up. Can't imagine Billy Napier is going to, say, okay, good luck to you, man. We'll see you next year. I think those guys will probably still keep coming at him. I don't know what Clemson would do. I do think that they have a history of kind of moving on once guys make it clear that they're going to particular places, whether it's a Carolina or a Georgia. They don't really go out of their way to keep recruiting those guys just to kind of preserve the I don't know, the way things look. They don't want to take too many public L's that way. So, I think South Carolina is going to be the pick Sunday, and again, they're going to have to try to keep them in the class and hold on. I don't want to say hold on for dear life, because I don't want to, paint a picture of what it may not necessarily play out to be. But given some of the other players in this game, I think they're going to have to hold on as best they can, and I hope that he sticks with Carolina, assuming that's where he announces on Sunday.
Hale McGranahan, thebigspur.com. Wendell Gregory is a player that's interesting to me because first of all, he's from Walton, home of G.A. Mangus and D.J. Smith. I think Jonathan. I'm going to quit trying to remember things, Hale. I was lucky I could remember that. I was going to say Jonathan Dwyer, maybe he was from that area. But anyway, so he's from Walton, 6'4", 220, but moved to linebacker from wide receiver. Seems to me like one of those late blooming kids. Could he be a Jordan Strawn type and move to edge? I don't know. But if he is 6'4", 220, and he was a receiver, and now he's that big, and he's got, another year, that's certainly intriguing. I think the Gamecocks are battling some other schools, but in relatively good shape. But, position-wise with him, I think he's a very interesting player.
Yeah, that's another word. I don't know if that 6'4" is necessarily where he's at. He could be one of those 6'4", but actually 6'2" guys. So at that point, he's probably not as appealing as a defensive end edge type. But I think he's sort of in that category. Again, going back to what you guys were talking about yesterday on the show, was he's in that next level of prospects in the state of Georgia where he's not, tier one. Georgia's going full bore after him, along with Alabama and the other top guys. He's like a notch below that. And while there's still a lot of really good teams that want him, those are the type of guys that South Carolina can really, have a really good shot at getting and turn into good players. Guys like a Jalen Kilgore or Dontavius Braswell, sort of in that maybe a tier two, for lack of a better phrase. Again, South Carolina's hosted him a couple times already. He was in town in December for that junior day / bowl practice, whatever you want to call it, event that they had on a Saturday before the team took off for Christmas break and went down to Jacksonville. But a really intriguing guy as far as what he looks like on his highlights. I've watched his highlights fairly recently, and still looks like a guy who's getting used to playing that linebacker position. But when he moves around and you see some of of what maybe he could be, or try to see what maybe he could be. He's an intriguing player who would be a good get for Carolina if that's the decision he makes. And his decision day, I want to say it's on Tuesday, is when he's scheduled, next Tuesday. So I think Carolina's in a good spot for him, and we'll see what happens when he makes that call.
Hale, Amari Adams is I guess, look, I got a hard and fast rule. I don't like to talk about kids that are too young, but I guess we can talk about 2025 now since we're about to flip the calendar. Amari Adams from Lake City looks to be kind of one of the next South Carolinian defensive linemen in line. Your thoughts on where the Gamecocks stand at this early stage, and what kind of player can he become?
Yeah, he's really good. His dad's actually the basketball coach at Lake City, so he's played a lot of basketball growing up. So he's got pretty good athleticism and moves well, and is again, like you said, JC, really young. So it's hard for me as well to try to get too far ahead of myself and talking about those young guys, especially young defensive linemen. But he's got some tools and could be very good. I mean, there's a reason he's rated as high as he is by 24/7 in those very early rankings and ratings. Which again, I'm not the biggest fan of those, but there's a market for them, and people want to see numbers by these kids' names as soon as they're getting offers and kind of emerging onto the scene. So they're out there, but I think it is a guy who South Carolina's another one who's in great spot with. He's pretty much a local guy. I mean, he's obviously in Lake City. I think is at Pageland Central. Is where his dad was a coach before they moved over to Lake City. And South Carolina's had him in a couple times. He came down for a camp in June, and that's when he got the offer. And he's been back for a few games this season. I think in the 2021 season, he came down for a couple games. So he's very familiar with the staff, and they're out into the mix early and getting a good head start. Georgia, I believe, is offered, and I'm sure we'll try to become a factor as this thing continues to move forward. But yeah, he's a really good player, and there's another guy who's coming in this weekend who's from Charlotte, Charles House, defensive tackle, who's really good. He's been down several times already. And I'm told from what I'm hearing that 2025 recruiting cycle, not just with those two guys or in the Carolinas, but really across the entire country, apparently that 2025 defensive tackle cycle or class is really good. That it sounds like that could be a very deep position for that cycle. And, maybe South Carolina doesn't have to go too far for their takes at that position, but apparently there's going to be a lot of really good players, defensive tackle who are just sophomores right now.
Hale, I know you're going to be busy this weekend, my friend. Hold down the fort. Over or under on the Gamecocks scoring 40 points in basketball for the entire game Saturday.
Lord, I don't know.
Over under 40 people in the CLA.
I think there'll probably. I'm gonna say I think there'll probably be a good amount of fans there just because there's going to be a football party.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, because it's a football party, right? Yeah,
yeah. As far as the basketball goes,
you take your picture with the Palmetto Bowl trophy.
There you go. Hey, I want to go real quick. Going back to Phil, what you were asking about guys at this event last year, this Junior Day event last year. So they did two. There were two Junior Days they had last year. There was one the weekend of like the 15th and one like the weekend of the 21st, 22nd, whatever this weekend is. So that first weekend they had a bunch of guys, Grayson Howard, Montague Rames, Sharif Denson, Jordan Hall, Keith Sampson, Caden Lee, Whit Weeks, Bakari Swain, who we didn't know whole much of anything about. In fact, I'm looking at the story now. There's not even a link to his name, so he may not have even had a 24/7 profile this time a year ago. Connor Cox, then some 2024 guys, Josiah Thompson, Cam Pringle, were a couple. Then that following weekend, and now when I pull this story up and I remember that following weekend is when Jalen Kilgore's name first came into the conversation because he didn't have a 24/7 profile. He had like Southeast Missouri State as an offer, and Carolina offered him, and I created his profile on 24/7, and now we all love him. But that weekend they had Xavier McLeod, Marquis Anderson, and Mazio Bennett, Dylan Lonergan, Zachariah Owens, Xavier Hardy, TJ Searcy, Troy Ford, Colton Hood, Bakari Swain, Heaven Brown Schuler, Trayon Webb, Jaden Robinson, some guys from Maryland, a couple guys from Virginia. So yeah, it was kind of a double weekend last year, and I would guess they'll probably try to get some more guys in next weekend, that final weekend before the dead period kicks in for February. But yeah, going back to what you're talking about, Phil. So I would think out of these guys we're talking about coming in on Saturday, there will be at least, a handful. I don't want to sit here and try to put a number on it and get people's hopes up, but I think there will be at least a few who we're talking about as 2024 signees for South Carolina, and maybe 2025 commitment signees, even further on down the road from there.
Awesome.
All right, Hale, have fun this weekend, man. Appreciate you jumping on the show, and should be a pretty interesting weekend. I'll talk to you soon.
All right, boys. Appreciate it.
Thanks, Hale.
All right, we're going to hit a break. Back after this, second hour of the show on a Friday rolls on. Hey, man, are you sick and tired of your business computer guy?
Yes, he takes forever to call me back and doesn't always respond to the requests.
Yeah, same here. I'm paying him good money. I constantly have issues, and I'm worried he's not backing up my network and securing it properly.
Oh, I feel that, man. My head hurts, but I have a good lead on a good idea. I'm calling your boy Matthew Odom today from Heritage Digital. Heritage Digital is an IT firm that specializes in making sure your IT network runs like a dream. If you have 1 or 500 employees, it doesn't matter. They do it all for one monthly fee and have clients from South Carolina all the way to California.
Yeah, I heard that monthly fee's low too, so I don't know why I didn't even think of that. Do you have 843-699-1001 as Matt's contact number?
Yeah, man, I sure do that. Or you can go to heritagedigital.com.
Man, I hear they do a no-cost assessment. Boy, this will help me.
Yeah, I bet.
I'm getting on that and encouraging everyone else to do the same. Heritage Digital, 843-699-1001 or heritagedigital.com, a proud sponsor of Inside the Gamecocks, the show.
You can't handle the truth.
Gamecock Nation, do you need a place to stay for the big game? Many hotel booking engines keep all the commissions, but at Fan Plans, you support Inside the Gamecocks, still earn your hotel loyalty points, and you receive an email with direct confirmation from the hotel. Whether you are visiting Columbia to cheer on Carolina or hitting the road to follow the team, get in the stands with Fan Plans.
Yep, time to get back to the show. Shoot. All right, my man.
Welcome in, everybody, to the Inside the Gamecocks show. Sorry, I got distracted by an email. I'm like, do something? Do I need to do something? Okay, yeah. But show's brought to you by Express Sunrooms in Columbia. Give John Barber a call. Shoot him an email. It is, what is it? John B at expressunrooms.com. And phone number 803-446-4662. I'd be happy to talk to you about a potential backyard retreat, outdoor retreat for your backyard.
Oh, lovely.
Sunroom edition, anything you need in the way of enclosing a porch or a patio. John would love to help you out. Tell me, mention you heard it here. Get $500 off your first project. Stellar opening to this segment. Oh my goodness.
So proud. I'll say, yeah, and I was speechless too because you got me thinking about the sunroom, right? Because I looked at their Instagram page today. Express Sunrooms. There's some really nice stuff, dude. I mean, it's like,
yeah, I was perusing their site the other day. I'm like, man, I can do some really nice things here. Yeah.
By the way, yeah, it's nice. Shout out to Greg on Twitter. And we put this on Instagram too. He said he made a meme out of our logo. Clowns to the left of me, jokers to the right. Here I am, stuck on Inside the Gamecocks, the show. Congrats on 100 episodes.
Yeah, I saw that this morning.
You're my
Appreciated
boy, Blue.
that. That was awesome. Yeah, that was
my
awesome.
boy, Blue. But yeah, so we're happy with the shout out there for Greg and all the support Greg and all of you give us right here. Don't forget, we did launch Inside the Gamecocks, the store, Inside the Gamecocks, the show page, I guess. It's InsideTheGamecocks.com, actually. I probably should just go simple and call it that. Got the Dowell Loggins gear, got Find the Damn Way t-shirts, got the Carolina Rise stuff. All that still goes to the collective, the Carolina Rise stuff, and a portion of the other stuff does too. Plus, we're going to have show highlights. We're going to highlight our sponsors. Just another nice little landing page for you to consume content for us, show highlights, stuff like that. That's not the big announcement, though. The big announcement's coming up.
Could be more.
I'm going to announce this is my real hair, and I've had it tucked under a hat for all this time. Brian says, what did I miss? InsideTheGamecocks.com. So anyway, Grady comes in talking about the VFW on Isle of Palms' oceanfront right next door to the Windjammer. Could be an epic wedding.
I saw that from Greg. I'm trying to find that in the Nana Sports chat box because I know exactly where that is, and that would be an awesome place to have a wedding.
Grady, that's a wonderful idea. Hey, Hattie! Nat! Nah, she can't hear me. Anyway, 76 says JC and I function on the same wavelength. Fun stuff. Can't remember names to save my life half the time. I used to be really, really good at it. Because names are, I've always been pretty good with names, right? Because my mom is honey, we're going to get married at the VFW on the Isle of Palms in Charleston. I was telling about the VFW in Lockport. But there's one at Isle of Palms right next to the Windjammer. Grady told us about it. And I think that sounds promising.
Y'all are fun.
As long as they have a great menu like the one up here.
Oh, my God.
Chicken and chicken. And beef.
Chicken and beef.
Chicken and beef. So,
down here, you might get pork and chicken.
May get pork and chicken. we can still have Nana's get it. So,
yeah,
by the way,
you always have Nana's
that'd be great
for sure.
By the way, catch the latest episode of JC and Morgan. This week's episode is called The Scrambler.
I saw that. I haven't heard it yet. I'm interested.
Y'all remember the script? Well, it was just such it was a crazy JC and Morgan because we started talking about Jim Harbaugh, which is crazy enough, and then we go into that Jalen Rashada thing at Florida, and then we go back to Harbaugh, and then we go to like recruiting. It was just it's kind of like a disjointed. Of course, like by the time we recorded it yesterday, I was on like hour number 5 of talking. Because here's what happened. I got up yesterday.
I looked on Twitter and saw you were on 107.5 earlier before the show even with Gunner.
I do that like 6. All right, so that's early, right? That's like for me, that's like 6 to 7. And then I had Tuscaloosa got bumped from normal Wednesday to Thursday. So 7:30 was Tuscaloosa. Then I had to go do carpool. Then I jumped on with you. And Nat had a colonoscopy yesterday, so I had to go run around. I come back here, and Mike texts, and he's like, while we were doing the show, he's like, well, let's do it right after the show. And I was like, all right, let's fit it in. So it was like 5 straight hours. So my head was about to explode. Then on top of that, if I hadn't eaten all day, and, I usually don't do that to myself, and it's probably not good for my vertigo, but, so we get there, and Nat couldn't eat all day. So I was going to wait on her, right? I was being nice. Because of the colonoscopy. So I go get her from the hospital. The hospital lady tells me the wrong entrance. It's raining. It's cold. She's sitting out there in a wheelchair. The lady gives me a dirty look. I'm like, you're the one that told me. You can't. Come on. I'm from the She made fun of my accent while I was on the phone. This guy, where is he from? And the dumbest part about it is like, she's like, North or South Carolina? And I said, South Carolina. It's like, I can tell South Carolina. How can you tell a North Carolina? I guess North Carolina people are more like, right, kind of up here. Kind of like right Appalachia a little bit, and us from the South Carolina is like a little bit more like, hey, how you doing? I don't know.
I find it hard to believe that her Midwestern ears would be attuned to the nuanced, variations of Southern drawl.
Really? I can't tell. I can tell a good old East Tennessee boy every now and then because they're usually up here. They're usually, kind of East Tennessee. How you doing? But anyway. So thanks, Grady, for the advice there, VFW on Isle of Palms. That may happen. But yeah, I used to remember names great, and then now it's just like, because my mom had a bad habit of going, oh yeah, Connie so and so, for like, who in the hell is Connie? I don't know who that is. You know, like she would be telling a story like, I was talking to Connie so and so the other day, and she gave this advice. I'm like, who is she? Why is she qualified for this advice? Well, I mean, give me some background. But man, I think since I moved up here, because everybody's named like John or Tim or Jack, John, Tim, Jack, Bruce,
Jack.
Bruce,
Mike,
Michael, Ditka. So anyway, Action says, what does everyone think about KJ Bolden and King Joseph Edwards? Bolden, I saw his top 4, and he said they'll always be in the game for me. That was Alabama, Clemson, Ohio State, Georgia. Gamecocks are probably a long shot. That's one of those that'll probably visit, but you're still. Now, King Joseph Edwards is intriguing because I think Carolina's got a puncher's chance with him. I wouldn't pencil either one of them in, but puncher's chance. He said, what did Hale think? I'm sorry we got Hale off before that happened. Kamar Archie, the 2025 linebacker we just offered, looks like a beast. He's already been in the college weight room already. I'll have to check him out. I'm watching White's film right now. Hard to tell of his height, but he's a big dude. Pretty good athleticism for his size. He uses his long arms well on some of his tackles. Could be useful in getting hands into passing lanes. Danas White. Yeah, 6'6", 310. I was like, wow.
Yeah,
that's a big. That dude's gonna be 335. I mean, that's a monster.
Mm-hmm.
Brian says, got a question. Oh, we talked about this earlier, Brian. With our problems at linebacker and our trusted Torian Gray, do we consider moving Emin Warrior to LB? I was told it absolutely is not going to happen. KFC says, what about Troy Stevenson? This is another one of those things, kind of like Jordan Knox this year, where somebody somewhere likes the film and wants to take a flyer on rating him 4 stars. Is not an offer at Carolina right now. So, whatever. You know, and it's kind of funny because I think his biggest offer is Notre Dame. And so Notre Dame flipped that kid for Moeller in Cincinnati. Carolina had committed, which was expected. So is the Notre Dame offer carrying this guy to 4 stars? I don't know. I think he's got good film. I just think he's skinny as a rail. So, you know, Dupree says if you can get somebody that's part of the VFW chapter, it's pretty affordable. VFW, yeah, Sonder missed the VFW part. He was just like talking smack. Yeah, Isle of Palms, whatever. You're going to pay out the nose. Oh, I missed the VFW part. Yeah, because you're talking draft beer. I mean, the VFW, like, everybody's like good old folks in there. Like, we got some draft beer for you, you know.
Well, you can probably smoke in there. You can.
You smoke in there? They give me an ashtray.
Smoke in there, yeah.
All right, it's a smoking section, you know. Drew, though, that's a good. I mean, look, I'm dead serious. I'm inviting Grady if this works out. Saunders says hadn't seen Christian, the UNC fan, lately. I think he'll probably pop up before the game next year. Probably start talking. So he'll buy into the. Drake May is the front runner odds wise for the Heisman Trophy next season. North Carolina's quarterback, best odds. So I'm thinking, you know, he'll probably pop up and talk smack. He'll get to that point where he'll believe that they're not going to play soft. You know,
yeah,
you convince yourself of these over the summer. You start convincing yourself of things. Nah, this is the year we turn it all around. You know, I don't know. You know, Nat fiance chimes in. She's like, just an FYI, JC sucks with names. He thought my name was Cat for about 3 months. More like 3 weeks, but who's counting?
Yeah.
Action says, do you think Harbor could come in and be wide receiver 2? Two? I don't know. 3? Probably. Maybe by the end of the year, too. Who knows? Krager says, I can shake someone's hand and they can tell me their name, and I can't repeat it 2 sentences later.
That's why you got to repeat it right then. Right back to them.
Nat chimes back in. I love you guys with the VFW talk. Have a nice oyster roast at the VFW and Nana's Porch with tailgate it. I mean, cater it, not tailgate it. I got tailgating on the brain. Nat, clean the pipes. John says, finished the bear last night, JC. I loved it. The last scene really got me in the feels. I agree.
Yeah.
It was a good. My oldest is a chef, and of course he loved it and could commiserate with the insanity and anarchy. Yeah. I mean, being a chef my brother was a chef. So I appreciate that. John gives a big beef sandwich. Beef sandwich. Make us a t-shirt to the store that says beef sandwich. Beef. Or just go beef, go. So the Jaguars will move here. We can start that.
Yeah.
The Chicago, you can move it here, but you got to name it the beef. Beef.
Yeah.
Just go beef.
The Chicago Beefs.
Should we go beef or bears? Beef or bears?
Beef or bears?
Polish sausage.
Billboards up on, I-90. Which are probably the most effective in the country for at least time exposed to a billboard.
Oh, God. No doubt. Nowadays, you got to avoid bullets.
Yeah.
Seriously, man. Somebody got capped on the way to a White Sox game. I was like, golly, it's crazy.
Jeez.
Nah, it's like beef and sausage combo. But anyway, back to Nick Harbor. That's an intriguing point there because he's so athletic and so good. I think you could coach him up and teach him, and he could. I mean, like I said, if he plays offense, he's going to play touchdown. All you got to do is you just got to get him the ball and open, and he's in the end zone. I mean, now I don't know if he can catch a lick. I have no idea. So I have no clue on that. 76 goes Bears, beef, brats. Let's go. And 76 is like, Nat understands us. 76 is a Bears fan. He subscribes to the same double misery of being a Gamecock and a Bears fan that I do. This is a new thing for me too. It's kind of funny. I settled all family business, right?
Right.
I start forgetting names and subscribe to the misery of being a double Gamecock Bear.
You've officially turned a corner and have begun moving on.
Yes. Sad. Sad, oh sad. All right, Phil, let's get the last break in. Going to come back with a couple more topics of conversation. I'm going to go. I just noticed some things here on the Big Spur about the junior day and stuff I want to talk about. I want to talk about Amari Adams a little bit too, since I'm finally giving myself permission to talk about 2025. Also going to talk a little on Jeffcoat, just to kind of wrap things up. I didn't want to ask Hale about it because Hale's got the same information I do, and it's just tough to really talk about right now. But I want to touch on that before we get out of here for the weekend. What's everybody doing this weekend? Everybody fired up to go get your picture taken at the Palmetto Bowl trophy? That's awesome. And Clemson got their national title trophy. You go to Bilo to do that.
That is true. They had it right there at Bilo on 123.
More people at Bilo, not necessarily for the Clemson day, but on a given day, is there more people on a Saturday in Bilo than at a Gamecock men's basketball game? I'm not talking about tickets sold. I'm talking about people there.
No. Yeah, people who attended. Right. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, you can't go by attendance numbers because that's including all season ticket holders who aren't showing up, obviously, because we can see that on TV.
Because the Notre Dame game, the Gator Bowl was going on at the same time. And Carolina played Eastern Michigan. Of course, Eastern Michigan has a potential lottery pick on their team as well. And I didn't turn it on because I was watching the football game. But I wonder what that crowd was like, really. All of Gamecock Nation is watching. I mean, so who was there? Like 15 NBA scouts and staff?
Very well could have been more support personnel there than fans.
No.
In some capacity or another, right? But the women doubled up Vandy last night, so, hey.
96-48. We'll talk to Keith about Dawn Staley and our guys who talks women's ball. But Keith, David Cloninger sometimes. We need to get David back on.
We need to get David on, yeah.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. Yeah, I'm probably watching a little like I mentioned yesterday. You got the Eagles and Giants and Cowboys and Niners in the NFC. Woo, shoe buddy. You'll see if Martina Navratilova and the Jacksonville Jaguars can play the Chiefs. I saw a prediction of 31-30. I know the Jags are hot, but if they play the Chiefs within a point on Saturday, and then Bengals and Bills too. I thought this all year. I think it's the Bills' year. Of course, when I came of age, the Bills were losing 4 straight Super Bowls. Right. So I kind of feel bad for them. Plus all the snow, they had to move one of their games to Detroit because of the snow. So anyway, all right. I ran my mouth over the potential break there, Phil. So let's get out of here, and we'll be right back to wrap it up. It's the show on a Friday.
If you're looking to sell or buy multifamily property right here in South Carolina, the Burgesson team of RE/MAX at the Lake can help you get to closing fast and easy. Adam and Derek Burgesson both are very proud Gamecocks and are more than happy to assist you with any of your commercial real estate needs all across the state. You can email Adam at aburgesson@remax.net. That's ABERGESON at remax.net to get your next deal underway. The Burgesson team, proud sponsors of Inside the Gamecocks.
I love the smell of napalm in the morning.
What's up, Gamecock fans? This is Pitcher Noah Hall. If you want some delicious food for your event, I suggest visiting nanasporch.com today to find out what they all have to offer. It's really good Southern cuisine based out of Charlotte, my hometown. I hope you guys go check it out. Go Cox and go Nanas.
I've been expecting you, Mr. Powers.
Sometime in the near future, there's a good chance I'll move back to my home area of the upstate of South Carolina. And I'm going to tell you right now, there's nobody I would use to help me find a new home except Cindy Bass Searfoss of Caldwell Banker Kane, located in my hometown of Spartanburg, Daniel Morgan Avenue, married to a diehard Gamecock. 864-414-5271. Give Cindy a call. 864-414-5271. A proud sponsor of Inside the Gamecocks, the show.
Family vacations, a new car, a new boat, all cost money, but you don't necessarily have to make more to afford any of that if you can save cash that's flying out the window now. iHelp Consulting can help you finally get the kids to Disney World, upgrade the minivan, or drop that new boat in the water next summer. Let Daniel and iHelp Consulting consult with you. No fees, just savings. You pay them a percentage of those savings. Save on essential services, credit card fees, you name it. Let them find it. These folks are incredible. iHelpConsulting.com. How can I help you?
Hey, Mo Cowbay here from the Carolina Gamecocks. You're listening to Inside the Gamecocks, the show with JC and Phil.
Welcome back to Inside the Gamecocks, the show, everybody. Final segment of the week, presented to you by Express Sunrooms in Columbia. Give John Barber a call, 803-446-4662, to potentially discuss an outdoor retreat for your backyard or a sunroom addition to your home. He'd be happy to talk to you about it. No obligation consultation. Give him a call, 803-446-4662. I don't know what I'm doing this weekend, Jay. I think we're going to go for a little ride in the mountains tomorrow.
That's awesome.
Be nice.
That's,
yeah.
I got... we have a username Ice Cold Cock now on the Big Spur. They get more creative by the day. Just noticed that. Yeah. I don't know. The oldest kid has a robotics competition. I think we were talking about going to Topgolf. I don't know if that's going to happen. So.
Oh, I'm glad you said the kid. We got a basketball game to go to, so it'll be a short ride in the mountains tomorrow.
Short ride. Yeah. So continuing on this Nick Harbor thing, a recruiting coordinator said that Harbor doesn't always catch clean, but he only had one drop in the Under Armour practice. Yeah, we'll see. Saunders says, I wonder if Harbor will keep enough weight off to run sub 10. You have to run sub 10.05 to even qualify for the trials, I believe. Obviously, Olympics is important. Wonder how that plays out. See, if I were him, that would mean I would probably want to stay at like receiver, or play receiver. Action says, JC, Chicago is cold. I'm in the boat with you from Toledo, Ohio. I've never been to Toledo. I was talking to Dad about it the other day. I've been to Columbus, Cincinnati several times. Never been to Toledo, Akron. Cleveland. Never been to that part of Ohio. I guess Toledo is more towards Cincinnati anyway, but I have not been that far north. Drew has a wedding tomorrow. I plan on being at PJ's all day Sunday. That's it. You got to chill out. You know, sometimes I just don't like to answer the phone on Sundays because it's Sunday, and I like to rest. Sometimes though, I too have had a wedding the day before, and like to stay in my PJs. Usually after I've settled all family business, right?
Yeah, that's right.
JB says,
which can run long into the night.
That's a long night. What'd you do last night? Settle all family business. We should do it like about like our adventures in Spartanburg, like J.C. Sherbert settles all family business, and like somebody sitting in Simple Simon and gets capped.
That's right. Somebody entering the new way.
So it's in the new way. Somebody's at Papa's breakfast. Somebody's out of that Denny's on Reeville Road. You know,
there's a dramatic scene, you know, behind the scenes at the Black Box at USC.
Yeah, dude. Settle all family business. JB says work right now is a struggle. Yeah, man. I wish you the best for the work. I'll pour one out. If I decide to settle all family business this weekend, I'll pour one out for the working man. How about that? Right. Xavier says, I'm going snowboarding this weekend. You guys want to join? He's up in the Pacific Northwest. Be careful. Good snowboarding area. Quantrell says he's a Whole Foods guy himself. Whole Foods is always hit or miss for me. I either love it or I hate it. The Whole Foods in Greenville was really nice. The one up here could garbage. Trevor says RIP Bilo.
Yeah.
76 says we should have the Orange Bowl trophy there. It's ours. Braveheart. It's my island. Yes, it's mine. Quantrell's like, can't have money. Brian says, I can't believe I already covered him a warranted linebacker. I thought I was first on the scene, but apparently that wasn't so far-fetched. Yeah, people are asking about it. They're speculating about it. I think it's time to... First and foremost, the thing is too. Okay, I don't necessarily think that's the worst idea in the world.
I mean, he's a thumper. He'd be good, you know. I mean,
yeah. This staff though, they're real hesitant. They don't move people around like some previous staffs here. They kind of stick to it. And, I mean, they'll throw Brian Thomas Jr. out there at edge, you know, if they have to. They don't. And nothing against Brian. He's gonna be a good player, but man, there was no like, let's move Bam Martin Scott. Nothing. It was just like, let's just do this guy. Whole Foods Pizza Bar is second to none, Saunders says. Tim, good day, clowns. Good day, Tim from down under.
Good day.
To say. Keep on cracking the ton yesterday. Keep up the great work, guys. Up the mighty cooks. Good night. Tim catches it at night down under. 76 roams the aisles of Publix. Whole Foods tried me, but I was too poor for them. 76 doesn't buy everything from Whole Foods. It's impossible. Just some stuff. Krieger says, how much are eggs right now? A whole chicken is cheaper than the eggs. Yeah, the rotisserie is. If I were like a real idiot, I'd be, why don't you get that bunny that does them Easter eggs?
Yeah.
Give me some eggs. What that bunny can do? Go buy a bunny.
Chicken eggs are $5 a pound. How much are rabbit eggs?
How much did come out chocolate? Don't you crack that thing, fry me up an omelet? You can't at Simple Simon, Dale. Quantrell says if he was the Bears, he'd trade Fields and a second-round pick for Lamar Jackson. Interesting.
You think that would get it, Quantrell? You think Panthers? Fields and a second for Lamar? I don't know.
Saunders going to Top Golf tomorrow. Woohoo. Lucky you. 76 says he may take a shower. Drew says, is this a family planning kind of business? They'll settle all the family business. Stacy says, a guy named Carl Reed on a national show says he tells big-time prospects not to sign national letters of intent. You shouldn't sign anything except financial aid papers. Do you agree? I know who he is. He is a colleague, I guess, of mine. Let's say I have no comment. because I've just seen some stuff that no comment. If he worked at another place, maybe I'd have some comments about it. But yeah, I don't agree with that at all. Now look, and one of the reasons why, Stacy, is that it's so easy to get out of a letter of intent nowadays. So if something goes wrong, that's number one. And number two, look, man, people that say that have never. I mean, if they've coached, they don't understand it. They don't understand the business. And I'm not saying this is Carl, because, like I said, he's a colleague of mine. I don't know him. I've never met him. I've just read some stuff he said that I don't agree with. Some I do, But how fair is that to the coaching staff, right? Like let's say this Cormani McLean guy that ended up going with Dion, that spurned Florida to go to Miami and then went with Dion to Colorado. Let's say he just puts it off, and they're lingering and lingering and lingering. You only have so many spots, and everybody's waiting. 3 schools are waiting on him. He's basically holding that spot hostage. And I'll tell you this right now: the guys that want to prolong the recruit, the longer. And here's why this is in the kids' best interest. Things like that are not in the kids' best interest, right? Because the longer you prolong it, from what I've seen in 15, 20 years covering recruiting, those guys, when they really keep going and going and going, they never turn out. A running back named Bryce Brown. His brother was an overrated linebacker that ended up actually doing more things than he did. But Bryce was legit. He was from Wichita, Kansas. Drug it out. Finally signed with Lane Kiffin in Tennessee. Didn't do all that much. Talented guy. But I think you get behind, and then if you hold on to the recruiting process, which is a bunch of fake garbage, right? Fake garbage. Because I've compared it many times. Have you arrived? If you win... most likely to succeed out of high school. Have you arrived? If you're the valedictorian, you've put in all the work. Do they just hand you a law degree? If you're the valedictorian of your high school, oh crap, you've arrived here. Can you come argue this case in front of the Supreme Court, JC? Absolutely. Give me $1 million. I'm going to go buy a Lamborghini. But look, man, that's the thing. If the longer you hold on to high school, and that's exactly what recruiting is. It's high school. High school superlatives. The worse your life's going to be, in my opinion. And I'm not talking about Jadeveon Clowney waiting till his birthday on Valentine's Day to announce or anything like that. There's some guys that wait a little while, but they don't let it linger and they take care of their business. But not signing a letter of intent is like not signing your marriage license. You just sit. Why? Why are you even in the marriage? Because you're just sitting there waiting on something else to come along. I'm keeping my options open. Yeah, I think stuff like that's very misguided because, and like I said, the coaching staff. What I'd start doing with all the once we get down the road to where 80% of these guys that demand all this NIL money don't pan out, and they're not, and that's off the table. And people start to understand and wake up that, hey, and I saw the stupidest article the other day from a Miami writer who's holding on to clinging to hope. Like, yeah, Miami can, they can, some of these guys, Georgia and Bama get all these guys, and that's why they're great. It's not why they're great. It's not why they're great. Those guys are probably, most of them are rated that highly because Georgia and Bama want them. Okay. And he just went on and on, holding on for dear life. Totally misguided about it. What I'm going to start doing, once I figure all this out, the hype has gotten too out of control and it directly impacts your development as a football player, I'm just going to start cutting people. I'm going to have a board, and I'm going to have a board, and I'm going to have guys I kind of keep warm that are kind of, hanging out, maybe going to lower schools that are hungry and want to come play. Yeah, I'll wait till signing day on Mr. 5-Star. If he wants to come, great. Start the de-recruiting process immediately. And then I'm going to take that other guy who's maybe a 3-star but's close in ability and upside, and I'm going to win games. All this stuff these days, NIL, recruiting rankings, the hype, the money, the portal. none of becoming a farm team for another school. What people say, none of that has anything to do with winning. None. It would not surprise me. Now it's tough because Florida State is supposed to be good, and I think we all pull for Florida State, right? Because of the division they're in with that team, the team they're in the division with. It wouldn't surprise me to see South Carolina have a better season than Florida State and Southern Cal. And who else left? Oh, and Oregon.
Oregon. Mm-hmm.
No, it wouldn't surprise me at all. Wouldn't surprise me at all. Jared says, how will the Gamecocks fare tomorrow with Auburn? I hope they score 40 points. Quantressa says, Colorado has 42 commitments. When people say flipping the roster, I think that's a perfect example of it. Kind of excited to see what Dion does. He's going to have talent. Now, there's going to be some issues, with NIL and stuff out there. But, man, I'd love to see him rebuild Colorado. Colorado used to be great. Used to be great.
National championship background. Oh, yeah. I mean, pedigree, rather. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Action says, JC, do you think we'll ever get a 5-star receiver out of high school? So one would have to come through South Carolina. I mean, some people had Shaq Rowland as a 5. I wasn't quite ready to go there. It's good. Alshon Jeffrey probably could have made a case to be a 5. Yeah, I don't think it matters.
Just keep finding Debo's and Juices, and you'll be okay.
Yeah, I mean, even at Clemson, Mike Wells and Hunter Renfrow were much better than Deion Kane and Ray McLeod, even though I liked Ray. I thought Deion was just sort of okay. But then, of course, T. Higgins was a 5-star and was legit, right? So I think what you want is you want guys like Bama had a few years ago, like Ohio State has now. That's not always star-rated wise, that kind of thing. Alec Murdoch case starts Friday. I'll be glued to it. Wow.
What a mess that is. Just crazy.
Wait a minute. Krager says Monday. 76 says guilty. Fry the dude. Give him the Green Mile chair. So, boss, is it okay if I give Mr. Jingle some of my cornbread? That's a sad movie. He died. Not only did he die, not only did Michael Clark Duncan die, he was married to Omarosa.
No, that I did not know. Really?
Yeah.
Omarosa.
Action Jackson says, I have a reliable source that Marvin Harrison Jr.'s little brother in the 8th grade is almost better than him. Probably. I mean, that wouldn't surprise me at all. So see, he's got to work just as hard as Marvin Harrison Jr. Marvin Harrison Jr.'s dad's in the NFL. Not like this. So these kids of NFL players, they won't, you won't talk NIL there and spend a little extra. That's number one. They have the marketable value because they're a son of an NFL player on that side of it. Number two, those guys are normally either really awesome self-starters because their dads have told them to do that or their moms told them to do that, or they're just awful. And they're not even in the mix for anything. So
I think Arch Manning's going to be the one to watch to see how that plays out because he's the next big name to enter the fray, from a dynastic family, let's call it,
And he's the first guy I've ever seen ranked as the number 1 player in the country because of what's between his ears.
Yeah.
Because he's not physically overly talented, right? So, man, we're out of time. Forgot about this. All right, so we'll be back next week. Don't forget, buy some gear, some stickers. I'm going to put some stickers up later. We got T-shirts, all that on InsideTheGamecocks.com. You can also buy Carolina Rise stuff there. That's awesome. Appreciate all of you that have bought some so far today. I've been sitting here getting orders. That's good. Also, don't forget the big announcement. Coming up about the show. It's been a great week, folks. Right here. We'll be back Monday. Keith Allsep will join us as normal to review recruiting weekend, to review basketball, talk a little women's, all that good stuff, and our normal cast of characters next week. So for Phil Mullinax, it's JC Sherman. It's been Inside the Gamecocks show. Have a great weekend, everybody.